Where are we at in society today? Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
Go ahead. Make my day.
Every single week, I put my freaking heart and soul into this. I don't go out there and laugh. It's not funny. It's not fun. Nothing's funny to me. I don't want to go out there and get embarrassed on Monday Night Football in front of everybody.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
So ain't nothing changed from yesterday. Still the same person I was yesterday. And I got the same thing for you that I had yesterday. You know why I'm here.
You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
What's the lasting impression that athletes or teams can make on a fan base? I think that's what Team USA is hoping that they can make sure they solidify Thursday night. Welcome, everybody, on a Tuesday morning to X's and Bros. This hour of our program, proudly brought to you by Ferris Coffee, available in all 50 states and the official coffee maker of the Detroit Lions. Team USA falls to Sweden last night 2-1. Yes, people will say it was a meaningless game. I think it meant a lot to Chris Kreider, who scored the first goal of the game 36 seconds in. It was in for Matt Tkachuk because of Tkachuk's injury. I think it meant a lot to Jake Oettinger, who had 21 saves, but sat out with the loss, but had his only game so far because Connor Hellebuck has been so damn good. I think it meant a lot to Sweden. They didn't want to go through the entire series of the Four Nations tournament without having a win. So there was more than just, well, it's just a game. Let's roll the puck out there. So I disagreed with that completely. All the scoring taking place in the first period. Sweden scored 6.5 minutes apart, including the game-winning goal with 56 seconds left in the first period, and that was all the scoring that there was. America already into the title game on Thursday. They played without Charlie McAvoy, who was, we find out, admitted to the hospital with an upper body injury. They played without Matthew Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk got hurt during the game, so they were down a couple of forwards. They were down one of their best defensemen, if not the best defenseman that they've had. So they still made it a game, but it was, you're bound to have a little bit of an emotional, not physical necessarily, an emotional letdown because of all the things that took place on Saturday night. And that begs that question that we'll get to here in a moment. What's the lasting impression? Canada, by the way, beat Finland 5-3. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon factoring big in the scoring early on. Finland came back, made it a game. Mikhail Granlund with a couple of goals less than 30 seconds apart to make it a 5-3 game and make people in Canada a little uneasy, but they hold on and they win it 5-3. The tickets for the game in Boston Thursday night between Team USA and Canada, the rematch that everybody wanted, except for people in Finland and Sweden, are going for a minimum of over $1,200 a ticket. Again, as I said yesterday, the National Hockey League has to use this to their advantage. Use it as momentum, okay? Let's see if they can do that. Are they smart enough to do that? We'll find out. Latest top 25. Michigan moves up to number 12. They're all the way up to number 12. Michigan State loses a few spots. They're down to number 14. Still, we've got two teams in the state of Michigan that are ranked in the top 15. That tells you something. Wolverines on a 6-game roll had the largest climb of any top 25 team. They jump 8 spots. Auburn stays number 1 for a 6th straight week. It's followed by Florida, Duke, Alabama, and Houston. There are 3 other Big Ten teams ranked, including Wisconsin at number 11, who went into Purdue, went into West Lafayette, and just torched the Boilermakers. One of the biggest surprises over the weekend. It's interesting. That's a team that averaged, I don't know, you looked at them under Bo Ryan, early years of Greg Gard, 63, 64 points per game. They scored over 90 against Purdue. in Mackey. Not an easy place to win. Purdue is in as well, and so is Maryland. Maryland at number 20. In fact, the Big Ten has number 12, number 11, excuse me, number 11, number 12, number 13, number 14. So it's Wisconsin, Michigan, Purdue, Michigan State in a row. And then Maryland at number 20. Here's our poll question for you on the day. Did you enjoy the NBA All-Star Game format? Did you enjoy the NBA All-Star Game format? That's the poll question. You can answer as often as you like at XB Mornings. That's our Twitter handle. I'll retweet it out as well at ShepMatt, and you can figure out, or we can figure out the tally and give you the final results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. The reason I bring this up is because you see what some of the NBA All-Stars have suggested. And for the first time in, I can't even guess, first time in how long, where the National Hockey League is used as the beacon. They are used as the trailblazer to a certain extent. They are used as the league you almost want to copy, thanks to what's going on in the four nations. Let me explain. When you have an NBA All-Star game that is widely ridiculed. Now, again, as I mentioned yesterday, I didn't watch it. You're not getting those 3 hours back in your life. So I don't need a concert. This is why I've said the Super Bowl has gotten, just out of hand. And look, obviously I'm wrong. This is my opinion, but obviously I'm wrong because you're drawing millions and millions of people. So they're doing something right. I mean, that's what people should be arguing against me. Shep, you think the NFL is doing something wrong? You think the Super Bowl is doing something wrong? Then why are they gaining so many fans? And I guess my argument could be, what else are you going to watch on that day? Mid-American Conference women's basketball. Okay, go ahead. There's really nothing else that's going to compete against the Super Bowl unless you want to watch a rerun of Blue Bloods. Go right ahead. But even if they had anything else, you're going to watch the Super Bowl. I just think the halftime show has gotten to be too much. I think the buildup has gotten monotonous. And I love football and I love sports, and you and I talk about it all the time. But do I need the antics of all these different networks trying to be cutesy and all this other stuff? Not really. I mean, I don't know how many people are watching that stuff, but I don't need that stuff. You got a Puppy Bowl, you got all that other stuff. Fine. I mean, these networks got to put some programming on. I get it. I'm not saying they shouldn't do something around it. I just don't necessarily need it. And I think the halftime show has gotten to be ridiculous. It's gotten too long, and it's almost like football takes a backseat. Again, probably a fuddy-duddy here. That's fine. And the same thing in the NBA. There are certain things that we oftentimes don't recognize this stuff until it's too late. And that's where something that has run its course. And I think the dunk competition's run its course. I think the home run derby has run its course. And then I try to remind myself, wait a minute, maybe you're old guy. Maybe the young people who don't get a chance to see this or have never seen this, they deserve that. I got to take that into consideration. But when you have NBA players openly, they're the ones participating in this stuff. When they're openly saying something's got to change, I don't think I'm that far off. They used or have used now, indirectly or maybe directly in some people's cases, the NHL as a reason for change. We'll tell you what that change could be and find out whether you like it or not. The Meyer hotline is open for you, 866-838-4843, or you can text us your thoughts at Sports Radio 21,000 on a Tuesday morning on X's and BrO's.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Huge here with an invitation for all of you to join Van Andel Institute and Fox Motors Hockey for Hockey Fights Cancer at Southside Ice Arena in Byron Center. It will take place February 21st through February 23rd. You can join the fun and help raise awareness and funds for Van Andel Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's. Since 2016, Southside Hockey Fights Cancer has raised nearly $500,000 for groundbreaking research at VAI. You can help them reach the $500,000 mark and make a positive impact on the future of human health. Learn more at foxmotorshockey.com. That is foxmotorshockey.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Saturday, April 5th, Soaring Eagle Casino becomes Daryl's house. Don't miss a legend live, Daryl Hall, with special guest Glenn Kilbrook of Squeeze. Tickets start at $62 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Make your favorite Sarah smile. Daryl Hall with Glenn Kilbrook, Saturday, April 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Yeah, it's not easy. We lose a guy that early in the game. We're already down one. You know, we try to spread the minutes around a little bit so nobody got an extensive workload. But when you're down two guys that early in the game, it is what it is. I thought the guys competed hard.
That's Team USA head coach Mike Sullivan following his team's 2-1 loss to Sweden last night. Now everybody can kind of put those games behind them and focus on Thursday night's championship game in Boston at 8 o'clock. Welcome back. We'll get to the NBA's possible response here in a moment. I get the sense that Thursday will be just as emotional as Saturday, but I don't think you're going to see fights early on. I think you're going to see a lot of scraps early on. I think you're going to see a lot of pushing and shoving. I don't think anyone's dropping the gloves. We've never seen it before, right? 3 fights in 9 seconds. But I don't think you're going to see anything quite like that at all, because I think the tone was already set. I don't think there necessarily needs to be a tone. Yes, there was the booing of the national anthem in Canada that probably created a little bit of inspiration from the Kachuk brothers and JT Miller. That's evident by, their texts and the tones. But I do think they will set a tone early on. I think it'll be a very physical game, and I think it'll be a very close, tight 1, maybe 2 goal game like the first one, but there's not going to be a lot of room on the ice. The questions that arise in this type of matchup is, can Team USA kind of overwhelm Canada with the physicality like they did in game 1? I think that's going to be really hard. Will they be able to bottle up the type of skill that Canada has? And I told you before this tournament began, I said, Canada has the edge of the forwards, which they do. When you put Connor McDavid and you put Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby and guys like that out on the ice, that's scary stuff. These are 3 of the best players in the world on the same team. When McDavid and McKinnon are playing together, it's super scary, because I don't know if there are better skaters in the world than those 2 guys. Maybe Jack Hughes. I don't know. But, those guys are maybe Dylan Larkin. Dylan Larkin skates with them. But Connor McDavid, when he gets in the open ice, I don't think there's anyone who can stop him. That's why they had to play him so tight. That's why Charlie McAvoy's injury, by the way, is so important. Team USA has to have him in the lineup. He's physical. He's the guy who, followed McDavid. That's the thing that impressed me about USA so much so far in this tournament, but especially against Canada. The buy-in for a team game, really impressive. Heard an interview with Matthew Tkachuk last night during the broadcast of Team USA's 2-1 loss to Sweden. And he was saying how close they've become in such a short period of time. That's really cool to hear. So you're going to have to find a way to do that again. People have talked about Connor Hellebuyck, and they're not impressed on how he's played in really big games, which is kind of strange, because remember, in Game 7 against Nashville in 2018, when he's in net for Winnipeg, he made 36 saves. But they recognize that, he has not played in a lot, if you would call them, big games. That's people's definition, not necessarily mine. On the other hand, Jordan Binnington hasn't played well at all for Team Canada for the most part. Last night, when you're giving up 3 goals on 9 shots in the third period, that's not a resume builder. When you have a save percentage of .862, that's not a resume builder. But some people could say look, he's won a big game in Boston when he was with St. Louis, Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2019. So he's done it, been there, done that. Do you look at that as more important than a guy like Hellebuyck, who had 25 saves on 26 shots against Team Canada, and right now has a save percentage of .957 and a goals against of 1? He's made 45 saves on 47 shots so far in the tournament. So that will be interesting as part of the underlying theme of what we can expect Thursday night. And then the last thing, of course, is Sidney Crosby and what he has done for Team Canada. It's really hard they're let's jump into cliches, shall we? Really hard to beat a talented team twice in the same season. Lions did it with the Vikings. Lions did it with the Packers. Lions did it with teams in the past. A year ago, they did something similar. But when you're playing hockey and these two teams that know each other so well and so close together, I think it's especially hard. Remember, and I told you this before the tournament began, Sidney Crosby was 26-0 when helping lead Team Canada in an international event. He had never lost until Saturday against Team USA. So here's a guy who had the golden goal in 2010 in the Vancouver Olympics. Remember, Team USA had beaten Canada earlier in that tournament, and then they squared off for the gold medal game, and Crosby had that golden goal, and they won it. Chris Pronger, who was part of that team, actually said it's probably his most prized gold medal because of who they beat and the circumstances surrounding the victory. So he had won that. In 2014 in the Olympics, he had a goal in their 3-0 win over Sweden. He was the most valuable player in the 2016 World Cup of Hockey because he had 10 points in that tournament. He won gold at the World Juniors. He won gold at the World Championship in 2015. So he had gone 26 straight wearing a Canadian sweater in championship games. So far in this tournament, he was big against Sweden. He was big against Finland. He was big against Team USA in terms of coughing the puck up. He was a -2 in that game. How will he respond? Will they use him as an inspiration? Their head coach, John Cooper, was quoted as saying, look, this is a guy who in Canada, he walks on water. He inspires every young and veteran player in our locker room. Remember, the captaincy is a very prideful thing, especially in hockey. Connor McDavid, some people thought, well, he's going to be the captain of this team. He said Sidney Crosby deserves it. Greatest player in the world is Connor McDavid. And he says that about Sidney Crosby. It tells you something about the mad respect that he and others have for Sidney Crosby. The other thing that we'll have to keep a watch on is Cale Makar. Cale Makar is one of the greatest defensemen in the world today, not just in Canada, but in all countries. And he was not available for Team Canada against the United States Thursday night. Those are some really important things to keep an eye on, okay? Just giving you a heads up as you get ready for Thursday. We'll talk more about it as that big game approaches and hope you'll get an opportunity to join us with that. Meanwhile, Team USA has caught everybody's attention. It's caught everybody's focus right now. People are talking about it. Those who usually, many who may not even watch hockey, have been caught up in this. And if they weren't watching, they at least saw some highlights. They saw some things on social media, and they said, you know what did I miss? And they'll go back and watch some of those highlights and look forward to Thursday night. Golden opportunity for the sport. We'll see what they do moving forward. Like I said yesterday, I don't think it's something you should do every single year, but it is something that has caught people's attention and had them talking about your sport. It has other sports talking about it too. And that should tell you just how impactful this game Saturday night was and how impactful this game upcoming Thursday night can be. So when you hear some of the players in the NBA without directly associating the National Hockey League with this idea, I think it's an important one. Giannis Antetokounmpo and others have wanted to almost copycat a formula that the National Hockey League has now used to their advantage. We'll tell you what that is when we come back on X's and Bros. Glad you're with us on a Tuesday morning. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is sports radio to 21,000. We get your thoughts throughout the Tuesday morning on a lot of different topics. Whatever it is that might be on your mind, we're open to it here on X's and Bro.
Rock legend Peter Frampton comes alive. Peter Frampton, the Let's Do It Again tour returns Saturday, April 19th to Soaring Eagle Casino. Tickets start at $73 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Peter Frampton, April 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Save a good deal more at Meijer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Huge here with an invitation for all of you to join Van Andel Institute and Fox Motors Hockey for Hockey Fights Cancer at Southside Ice Arena in Byron Center. It will take place February 21st through February 23rd. You can join the fun and help raise awareness and funds for Van Andel Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's. Since 2016, Southside Hockey Fights Cancer has raised nearly $500,000 for groundbreaking research at VAI. You can help them reach the $500,000 mark and make a positive impact on the future of human health. Learn more at foxmotorshockey.com. That is foxmotorshockey.com.
You work all year to be an all-star, and you get to play up to 40, and then you're done. This is so unfair to Victor Wembanyama, who just took this game really seriously, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who just took this game really seriously. When you talk about chasing after the points records, Melo, Kobe, and all these guys who've had great scoring nights, they don't get the opportunity to do that with this game. Also, we can watch some rising stars. We're about to watch the Olympic team. Now we get the treat of watching the Olympic team play against a U19 team. Come on, what are we doing?
That is so flippin' funny. You know why? You know why it's funny? It's funny because not just because it's Draymond Green talking about the All-Star. It's because he's right. And he actually has the guts to say something. A player who's playing now, this is not Shaquille O'Neal or Charles Barkley, who get paid big money for this stuff and who everybody loves to watch. And I like them too. So don't take this out of context. But let's face it, they say some stupid things on purpose. Draymond Green, whether you like him or not, and I can't say that I've always been a fan of his. All right. So don't think that, oh, Shep, you're just kissing his boots. No, that's not the case at all. A lot of times he drives me crazy because I think he flops a lot. I think he acts like a tough guy all the time when he doesn't necessarily need to be. I think he can be very selfish on the floor as well. He takes gets some stupid whistles. Okay. But he's a current player who actually has the guts to say exactly what other players are thinking about it. He is a guy who isn't going to tiptoe around the issue where what was it? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander the other day. And I like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he's a great player. But he says, I don't like resting in between games. In other words, knock this format out of here. This is getting ridiculous, right? Draymond Green tells it exactly like it is. In this case, it's a funny take, but it's a correct take. And what he's basically saying is, things have got to change, and other people are saying it too. When you have players coming out after your weekend and saying it's one of your biggest weekends outside opening night and outside the NBA Finals, this is your biggest weekend. And again, it's a weekend. So when people say get rid of the All-Star game and just have a skills competition, like I heard somebody say that the other day in all sports, and I'm thinking the league. What the league does is they promote it as a weekend. They don't promote it as a day. They want people to come in this case, Golden State, San Francisco, wherever, maybe move in for a weekend, enjoy Saturday and Sunday's festivities, and then leave. They don't want it to be, oh, Saturday, and then we're done. They want to own the weekend. So it can't be just a skills competition. What used to be really important, and I can't recall Draymond Green's performances in the NBA All-Star. I don't know if he was a willing defensive participant. Okay, somebody asked me yesterday, well, then how do you fix it? And I said, here's how you fix it. You get players who give a crap. You get players who actually feel like they want to play both ends of the floor. I'm not saying get a bunch of floor burns, okay, diving for a loose ball. I'm not suggesting you're setting heavy, meaty screens at the top of the arc that require, you to separate somebody's shoulder. But it would be nice if you moved your feet once in a while on defense. It would be nice if you challenged a shot. It would be nice if you blocked a shot out of bounds and things of that nature. But Draymond Green saying things like this forces everybody else to take note. It forces you to go, you know what? I never looked at it that way, but he's right. How did he do in past All-Star games? I'm unsure. But I do know he speaks for a lot of people out there, and that's why it'll be interesting to get the results of our poll question. Here's what Victor Wembanyama and players like Giannis Antetokounmpo have said. And I think this is pretty interesting because it was a disappointing weekend. Trent watched more of it than I did. I didn't watch any of the skills competition. When you have a G leaguer, a guy who's played 5 games all season long, winning the slam dunk competition, there's plenty of national writers who are saying, you know what, good for them. It just shows you don't have to be a star to win the slam dunk competition. I guess. I mean, do people even know who he is based on winning the dunk the last 2 years? I guess they would. Second of all, are they going to follow him during the season? No, not unless you follow the G League. So if you have stars who want to opt out, we see it in the NBA and the Major League Baseball home run derby. You've got a lot of NBA players saying, I don't want to participate in that. That's fine, okay? But if you can't get some bigger name guys, maybe you ought to pivot and think of something else that you should be doing. In other words, find out from them early enough, do you want to participate? Because that's what the game is made of. It's made up of stars. It's called the All-Star Weekend. And you've got people who you have never heard of before, whether they played in college or whether they're playing in the NBA right now, because they're not playing at all. So why would you do that? I'm not trying to take anything away from the lesser known players, but that has always been even when Spud Webb won and Harold Miner won, they were contributors on their team, the Hawks and the Heat respectively. And now you're getting guys who are like, who the hell is this, right? On top of that, you've got this big concert that everybody is supposed to like because people in the arena are all paid by the NBA. And you're going, hey, this is awesome. Let's go watch a concert when we're there to watch an NBA game. It's become a spectacle. It's a circus is what it is. And I'm not saying peel everything back so you just get to the game itself and you're being an old fart. That's not what my suggestion is. But at some point, shouldn't the game and or in this case, the skills competition be more important or a bigger deal than the other things that are associated with it, like a rap concert? Yes, at least in my mind. So here's what some of these players have said. And I read this in CBSSports.com after another disappointing All-Star weekend. And if you think I'm wrong, tell me why either the numbers, the players, or the league itself is constantly looking to change. So you can say, what, Shep, you don't listen to rap, so how do you know? You think that's a bad weekend, so how do you know? You don't like the All-Star game festivities, so what the hell would you know? Well, here's what I do know. The numbers are way down, players don't like it, and the league is constantly talking about tweaking it. So you tell me who's wrong, you or me, right? So the NBA says they've changed the format, the league's signature midseason event 3 years in a row. Obviously, they can't get it right. They do a lot of things right. Otherwise, it's not as big of a global sport as it is. But there's 3 years in a row now where the NBA is scratching its head going, we can't figure out the formula that is best for our sport and our fans and television. And I'm sitting here complaining about it, but I've got people, railing on me on social media suggesting that, well, you just don't like it. Bullcrap. I love it. I love basketball. Love watching the college game. I like really good NBA games that show two teams that actually give a crap and want to play at both ends of the floor. So I think it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sport. I love it very much. And I enjoy calling games like that too. But this is not basketball. I just don't buy that this is what the best thing the NBA has to offer. Victor Wembanyama, his quote directly, I would love my opinion to be more purposeful. Giannis Antetokounmpo, there's more pride in it, more stakes. I would love that based on this recommendation that I'll get to. How much I would love that. I think it would be the most interesting and most exciting format. I would love it for sure. I'd take pride in that. I always like to compete, but I think this will give me a little bit more extra juice to compete. What are they talking about? They're talking about a USA against the world all-star format. Team USA, the best America has to offer, against the best the international players have to offer. That would be really cool. You take Team USA against the foreign-born players.
You've got enough of them.
Huh? You got enough of them.
You got enough foreign stars to make that work.
Before, and now you do. Now, the article comes after this statement. Foreign-born players taking pride in competing against Americans. It's a measuring stick, a chance to prove that they can stand up to the world's dominant basketball superpower. Hockey has had a lot of success with the Four Nations Face-Off, a tournament featuring the American team as well as Sweden, Finnish, and Canadian rosters. If the goal is simply to generate competitive games, the USA versus the world format has great potential. How much would you like that? I'm all in on that. All in. Do you play it one game or do you play a series of games? You only have to play the one game. It's the All-Star weekend. It's also something that can be repeated year after year. Unlike the Four Nations, which I think would, you don't want that. Not that it would run its course, but I just don't think it's something that you would play every single year. I think it's something that you would play every other year or every 4 years, something along those lines. With this format in the NBA All-Star game, knowing that the NBA has, or that the Olympics feature those best of the best NBA players too. With this format, I think it's repeatable. Who would be on Team USA and who would be on the international team? So, for example, let's use this as an example, if you don't mind. The international team would be really tough to beat, as a matter of fact, I think.
They'd probably be favored in that game.
You'd have Nikola Jokic for sure. You would have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who you were talking about. You would have Victor Wembanyama. You would have Giannis Antetokounmpo, just to name 4 right off the top of our head, right? Those guys at least.
Yeah, you'd have Luka Doncic too. He'd be 5.
Yeah, Luka Doncic. That could be your starting 5. Those are the 5 best international players, probably. Am I missing somebody? I think those are the 5 best. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's from Canada, but still, it's international. Team USA, who would that be? Let's just take 5 guys, okay? Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, still, right?
Yeah.
Jason Tatum.
Yeah, you could start Steph. You could maybe still start Kevin Durant. You could maybe start Anthony Davis.
Karl Anthony Towns, sure.
Okay. Jalen Brunson, maybe.
Coming off the bench, probably. Yeah. I wouldn't start him over Edwards or Donovan Mitchell, would you?
No. Or Steph, for that matter. But
Devin Booker would have to be in that conversation. Maybe even Kevin Durant, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. Those guys are in the conversation. Think about that tryout. Now, maybe you don't have a tryout. Maybe it's general managers collecting their thoughts and saying, all right, this is the type of team. I think it would be really exciting for a guy to be the general manager of that team and take control of putting a roster together, much like what we said yesterday, the Ryder Cup. How cool would that be? See, now that's a really good idea. I'm not saying I brought it up. I'm not. But I did say the other day that other leagues are going to follow what the USA-Canada game had Saturday night. Well, this is what I mean when I say it captivated people. Don't kid yourself. Those NBA players, they may not have been watching that, but they hear about it. They know what took place. Somebody's showing them on their phone. This was the start of Team USA and Team Canada Saturday night in the Four Nations tournament. And those guys are like, damn, those guys care. Damn, what are they getting for that? Holy cow.
And don't you think the players would enjoy something if it was actually competitive? They probably would love it, right?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think there's something to be said for that. I think
if it wasn't a joke and it wasn't just a break.
The problem with the NBA All-Star game has been that the league has almost put the players in a situation where there's not much incentive. It's just going through the motions. Do you know what I mean by that? They don't mind. The league has allowed, almost encouraged, and now they've reeled it in, right? They opened up a Pandora's box of the load management, thinking that it was a great idea. And then they're seeing it be abused. This is what happens. I mean, it's like, you know what? You don't have to come in for work today. You can work from home. And then suddenly, well, I really like to do this twice a week. Really, I'd like to do it 3 times a week. You know, it'd be great if we could just work from home all the time. How do you put that genie back in the bottle? It's a hard thing to do, right? I mean, you look at Jamie Dimon and what he said to his workers last week about that very same thing. So I think the NBA opened up that proverbial Pandora's box, and now they're trying to reel it in. And they're saying, wait a minute, this has gotten out of hand. There's pushback because of that.
And they've done small things to try to fix it, but it has not worked.
Small things.
I mean, they've put in the mandate where you have to play 70 games to win an award, stuff like that.
Yeah, most guys, the award they want is the ring on the finger. So
yeah, exactly.
Sure
they don't. That's not enough of an incentive for them to.
Yeah, that sure
push
doesn't
through an
matter
injury.
to Joel Embiid, for example.
No,
but
Does
it may matter to Philly fans, but I don't think it matters all that much to him. So they've done little things, but little things don't fix big problems.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't care what they've done from that minuscule opportunity that they think they're taking advantage of. I care about what are they doing to fix it. They lost it in almost one fell swoop. How do they fix it in one fell swoop? I don't know, but it's almost been encouraged by the NBA to a certain extent in that regard. Now you've got something that actually people will care about it a lot more. Players will care about it a lot more. Television networks will care about it a lot more. And the promotion will be off the chain, and you'll be able to talk about it year to year to year. It's a brilliant idea, I think, if the NBA can incorporate it. And I don't see why they wouldn't. Now, would you take a current NBA coach and do something like that? Do you do it like Major League Baseball's All-Star Game where, you know what, Dave Roberts is going to coach the National League because he won the World Series the year before? I don't know if that's how you do it. Maybe you take an ex-general manager from an NBA team and have some input from current NBA general managers and put together a team that way. You know, maybe Trajan Langdon has some type of input. Hey, I'm lobbying for my guy, Cade Cunningham, and here's the reason why. I don't know how much that should play a role in this. But I do think it's important because look at what you have right now with the NHL. You have current coaches coaching on, John Cooper is coaching Team Canada. Mike Sullivan, John Tortorella, they're coaching Team USA. You have those coaches involved, and the people who put those rosters together know the type of team that they want to put together. Are they all the best? Are they truly the best of the very best? Some would argue there are certain players that should be on it, but are not on it. But maybe they've put together the team they think would be the most competitive. That's up to the general managers to decide. But I think it'd be something players would embrace. I think they would really welcome something like this. And I hope the NBA absolutely does it. You can tell us what your thoughts on it. 866-838-4843. That's the Meyer hotline. Or you can always text your feelings on Sports Radio 21,000. This hour of our program is proudly brought to you by our friends at Ferris Coffee. When we come back, I saw a top 10 list going into the Major League Baseball season this year at a certain position. Do the Tigers have anybody at any position as a top 10 player? We'll get your thoughts on that when we come back on a Tuesday morning after that.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Save a good deal more at Meijer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
At Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, the legendary Tower of Power.
Down to the nightclub.
Saturday night, March 8th, and same show, same night. It's war. Tickets start at $47 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Get yourself to Bump City. March 8th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. War and Tower of Power. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddyThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddyThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Huge here from my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he runs Dorn Mayhew's Grand Rapids office in downtown GR. They're one of the world's top accounting and CPA firms. Their worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. If you're a business looking to work with professionals who will help you every step of the way, turn to Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Also, don't forget Dorn Mayhew brings you Coach Beeline and Josh every Tuesday, talking hoops on the Huge Show across Michigan.
Second hour of the program. Welcome back. This hour of X's and Bros on this Tuesday morning, proudly brought to you by our friends at Meyer. And Meyer has the hotline for you, 866-838-4843. You can always text the program, Sports Radio, to 21,000. Team USA loses 2-1 to Sweden last night. All the scoring done in the first period. Chris Kreider had the lone goal for Team USA 36 seconds into the game. But the injury is just too much. Austin Matthews didn't play. Brady Tkachuk got hurt during the game. Matthew Tkachuk was already out. Charlie McAvoy is out, was out, I should say, and was admitted to a Boston hospital. We'll see what the injury is there, and we'll see if he can come back and play in the championship game Thursday against Canada, who had beaten Finland earlier in the day, 5-3. Latest top 25. You've got Michigan and Michigan State still in the top 15. Michigan at number 11, Michigan State at number 14. Those two teams clash in Ann Arbor on Friday night, and we want to send you there. Text Dusty to 21,000 to register for 2 tickets, a dinner Thursday night with John Beilein, the former Michigan head basketball coach and their all-time winningest coach in basketball history, and 2-night stay at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. How do you do it? You do it by texting Dusty to 21,000. Here's our poll question for you on this Tuesday morning. Pretty simple. Did you enjoy the NBA All-Star Game format? I could have easily said, did you understand the NBA All-Star Game format? Because a lot of people probably didn't even get that. As we said yesterday, without beating a dead horse, anytime you've got to put up a full screen graphic and you've got to explain something to your audience, it's a bit of an issue. This is not an in-game situation where you're explaining the difference between whip or on base plus slugging or something that might be new to many folks who are used to a certain type of statistic like batting average or earned run average. This is a game that is an exhibition and is supposed to be easily understood, and it's not.
Anything but.
I
mean, Shep, even certain games when, like after regulation, when you go to OT and they have to put the overtime rules up there or something like that, that even makes more sense because it's like
reminder. Yeah, just a reminder. Overtime in football, you hear the referee explain it to you. He can explain it to you in 15 seconds.
Yeah.
The NBA All-Star Game format this past year couldn't. And here's the thing that I bring myself back to this all the time. I picture people. Have you ever been to the NBA offices? Okay, I have. Long conference room, and they're at a table. And Adam Silver's at the front. Okay? What do we got? I need your input. What do we got for the All-Star Game? Well, yeah, you in the back. Trent. Yeah, I'm thinking about this, sir. I'm thinking about 4 teams. You play up to 40. One of those teams is made up of young players. The others are made up of drafted players who are already voted into the All-Star Game, named after TNT personalities. Okay, how do you get to a winner? Well, it's pretty simple, sir. You play on Saturday, and then they're going through this, and somebody actually said, all right, all in favor, say aye. Everybody raises their hand because they're waiting for Adam Silver to raise it. And they said, yeah, let's go with it. Who thought of that? Who thought that was a good idea? Like, I just don't know how smart people, big leagues, revert to this type of thinking.
It's desperation, and it's painfully obvious that they're just trying to do something entertaining and different, but we have lost the plot if we're now doing a 3-game tournament for the NBA All-Star Weekend.
To me, it's just it's flat out ridiculous.
It is.
It just doesn't make any sense. And like I said, I mean, to try and they're literally openly searching for a format that is good, acceptable, and entertaining and challenging all at the same time, but doing it with no plan. It seems like they have no idea where it's going. And then you're watching, I'm picture watching people with all these lanyards in the arena saying, I hope it works. I hope it works. Please work. Please. And then when it doesn't, they're like, oh, God.
Back to the drawing board.
Now we got to start all over again.
And it's even, I mean, we've banged on this all morning too, but it's worth repeating. When you juxtapose it with what the NHL is doing, it's even more embarrassing. Because the NHL,
it took the NHL time to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason or another, they felt the need to wait 10 years to do something that was
they
similar
found
to this.
the fix,
but at least
is my
they
point.
did it. You know, the NFL, there's nothing the NFL can really do. Okay. Because first of all, I mean, you talk about a league that should get rid of it altogether. It's definitely the NFL. People could say that about the NBA and the NHL, but at least they have skill competitions that actually you use during the game. Spiking of football during your big event, quote unquote, just because you need to have football on between the final game of the playoffs and the Super Bowl is no reason to have it. And then to have something that doesn't even come close to recognizing what your game actually is makes no sense whatsoever. All it is a free trip to Orlando. Makes no sense whatsoever. So if there's one league that is completely lost, and the NFL does most everything right, the one thing that they never seem to get right is the Pro Bowl. This should just go away. And you know, I sit there and I'm talking about NBA personalities. I mean, you've got the Manning brothers as Team Peyton and Team Eli. Think about that. This is what it's become. It's become a TV show. They want to do a reality series, and we all know reality series aren't reality. They're all taped. So that's what it's become. The NFL Pro Bowl, the NBA All-Star Game have become a reality series. And the NHL did something similar to that. That's why I think Major League Baseball is so good. At least there's legitimacy. When you watch the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, you're saying to yourself, you know what? This is baseball. When you watch the NBA All-Star Game, do you think that's basketball? Hell no. You don't think it's basketball. When you watch the Pro Bowl, do you look at it and go, now, there's football. Picture this. You've got an exchange student from London. They're used to their style of football. They like to play golf. They play tennis. They play soccer. They don't have much education on American football at all. The exchange student comes in and you say, have a seat. I want you to watch this Pro Bowl and tell me what you think, because this is American football. Would you do that?
No.
Or would you show them regular season game? Hell, you'd show them a preseason
I was
game
just going to say, I'd show them a preseason game
now
first.
Think of this. You know basketball, right? Oh, yeah, mate, we love it over in London. Great, sit down. This is the NBA All-Star festivities. This is one of our prouder moments. Tell me what you think of this. I don't understand it. I can't understand what's going on here. Help me with this. Exactly.
We play games to 40.
Crap. Yeah, we play games to 40. Why are you stopping at 40? It's 40 to 39. I saw a game the other day, and it was 106, 101. Yeah, well, there's a new rule now because we don't want them to play too many minutes. I mean, our favorite player, Cade Cunningham, played 5 minutes, but he scored 5 points. A point a minute is pretty damn good. Ah, I see. Why do you do it this way? I don't know. We just don't know what the hell we're doing. I mean, that's the bottom line. And then you show them the Four Nations tournament, and you think to yourself, now this is hockey. What is most similar to the sport you watch on a day-to-day basis? Why is that so hard to grasp? Why is it the people in the league offices have to overthink it? Why is it requires somebody from the street to walk in and say, hey, man, here's an idea for you. Before you come to a final conclusion on what your all-star game is going to be or what your Pro Bowl game is going to be, I want you to think of one thing. What's that? The game. Think of how you play the game. Grab a Herm Edwards quote, you play to win the game. Do me a favor. Before you do anything, before you change anything, come up with any full screen graphics, come up with any ideas, think of one thing and one thing alone. Is it the same game we play during the regular season? Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you later. That's all that's required. When we come back, it's required usually to have top 10 players, at least one or two. Do the Tigers have any at any position? MLB Network does this on a pretty regular basis. They come out with what they consider, based on statistics, the top 10 at each position. How many Tigers are in the discussion? We'll discuss after this.
You've heard him on Kill Tony, the #1 live podcast in the world.
He's always working on our craft. Macaroni and cheese.
Friday, March 14th, Tony Hinchcliffe at Soaring Eagle.
Your blood type is delicious.
Tickets start at $72 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Check out the hottest comedy of 2025, Tony Hinchcliffe. March 14th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Relax, I only have so much time. I'm killing too hard.
More at SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Save a good deal more at Meijer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Back with you on X's and Bros on this Tuesday morning. Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. We are live throughout the state. Glad you're with us wherever it is you may be listening. Could be in Lansing on WVFN AM, 730 The Score. Or maybe it's in Traverse City, WKAD, 93.7 FM The Ticket. How about Grand Rapids, serving Kalamazoo and Holland, WMAX, 96.1 FM The Game. In Petoskey and Charlevoix, WMBN 104.7 FM, The Ticket, Northern Michigan. In Cadillac, WKAD, The Ticket, 93.7 FM. Maybe you're watching as we stream live on X at XB Mornings, perhaps streaming on YouTube and Facebook at X's and Bros. Major League Baseball. I saw this tweet yesterday. I thought it was fascinating. We talk of, and oftentimes when I see some of these statistics, I think of Trent's grandfather. Since, yes, I'm older, not as old as he, but since he's a big baseball fan and baseball fan way back in the day with some of those great players. I remember when I was a kid, I used to say to my dad how much I liked certain hitters. So I really liked Rod Carew. I really liked George Brett. I really liked Robin Yount. Of course, Tigers, but I'm saying even outside them. Pete Rose, of course. And my dad would pause and he'd say, "You don't know what a good hitter is." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He'd say, and then he would reel off Mays, DiMaggio, and Williams, and Musial, which would then force me to look those players up. And you'd have to look in a book to do this back then. Now, no longer. You got the internet and you got baseballreference.com that you can always talk to. And you look at the numbers and you think to yourself, damn, he was right again. MLB teams hitting at least 250. Now, this is the entire team. Some of this may have to do with pitching, so I'll grant you that. But I'm going to give you some of these numbers. It's not that far back, man. I'm not talking about when I was a kid, all right? I'm not talking about before I was a kid, in the 60s, okay, in the 50s. Okay, I'm not bringing those players up. We could bring up plenty of those great hitters, from Hank Aaron to Stan Musial to all those great guys. But I'm not doing that. I'm bringing up from 2005. It's 20 years ago. What did I say yesterday? If you were with us, we were talking about, I think it was Jake had called in from Kalamazoo, and he was bringing up NBA defenses. And we were talking about whether or not they're truly engaged. And I used this example. I said, in 2002, the Lakers had the best defense. They allowed 103 points per game. Or no, the Lakers had the best defense. They allowed 94.7 points per game. The worst was 103 in the league at the time. In 2002, I think there were 29 teams, and the worst team in the league's points per game against was 103. Oklahoma City is number one this year, and they allow 104 points per game. Teams hitting at least 250 in Major League Baseball. You ready? Do you think 250 is good? As a team, do you think that's good?
Sure. Okay. Not great.
Yeah, it's an average.
Yeah.
We're talking about an average here.
It's a good team average. Yeah, solid.
In 2005, 30 teams hit 250. In 2006, 30 teams hit 250. In 2007, 29 of the 30 teams hit 250. In 2008, 27. In 2009, 28. In 2010, it dipped to 20. Double digits all the way through 2020, which is a little misleading because 2020, with the COVID. In 2021, there were only 5 teams that hit 250. It bumped back up to 10 in 2022, and then in 2023, there were 14. Do you know how many teams hit 250 last year?
7 or 8.
6. In a 20-year span, you've gone from every team hitting at least 250 to 6 teams hitting 250.
How do you explain that? I know you kind of put the precursor in there, and maybe it's starting pitching. But how do you explain that drastic of a change?
Well,
and not that long of a time, right?
Okay, there is a period of time where you had the shift. That might be part of it.
That's a good point.
Okay, so that's part of it. That's number one. Players will tell you, and I've had this debate with plenty over the last 6 years or so. They'll tell you it's pitching, and especially bullpen pitching, because every guy coming out of the bullpen is now throwing in the mid-90s, and that never used to be the case. I think that's a bit of an excuse myself. I think the root of the problem is that guys' swings are not as pure. Look at Tony Gwynn's swing. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Look at Ken Griffey Jr.'s swing. It's a gorgeous thing to watch. It's like watching Ben Hogan or Rory McIlroy swing a golf club. I mean, if you're into golf, tell me the swing you'd love to have. I mean, if you want Ludwig Oberg, fine, okay? I don't think many people are necessarily looking at Scotty Scheffler because they look at the feet. I was talking with a golf coach yesterday, and he said, I don't care what you do with your feet, your knees, or your hips, because I was asking him, what do you watch for when you're coaching golfers? He says, I look for where the club, where it is as it's about to make contact, and where is it when it's through contact. I don't care how you get there, because more and more people are moving their feet. I digress. I think it's the way people swing the bat today and the angle in which they're trying to hit the ball, trying to create a spin on it, and a home run swing. Now, that may be too simplistic, but I think that is one of the biggest parts of it. Pitching, I'm sure, is part of it as well. So I gotta at least give that a little bit of leeway. But folks, remember, we're all aware of what happened in 2006, right? I mean, we were in the middle of it. We know what happened in 2012. We were in the middle of it. 18 teams hit 250, and Detroit had Verlander and Scherzer. We had great pitchers then. Let's not act like we're going back to, minor league baseball and we see a span where we don't have very good pitching. This is, I'm only giving you a 25-year span, or a 20-year span, I should say, where some of the elite pitchers were still throwing, whether it be Roy Halladay, Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Clayton Kershaw in his heyday. You still had teams doing it. So are you trying to tell me the pitching, and I'm arguing with myself here, the pitching over the last 4 years is better than the pitching was earlier in the decade or a decade before? I would strongly push back on that. So I truly believe it has more to do with the way kids are swinging the bat. It's kind of like basketball, is it not? Where you're seeing more and more teams. Watch a college basketball game. It's as close to the NBA as you're getting in terms of shot selection. People just want to jack up triple tries. I'm not saying there isn't a place for it in the game. It's a little concerning. And maybe I was at the golf simulator last week with some buddies, and I see this dad bring in some of his kids, and his kids are taking the club and they're wrapping it around their ears. And they're hitting the ball. And I'm like, hey, Dad, I mean, can you help him out a little bit? And then I watch the dad swing. I'm like, obviously you can't help him out. But anyway, I was thinking, you've got to have the fundamentals first and foremost. And I think that's kind of what's lost. Look, if I asked you, who do you enjoy watching more? Aaron Judge or Luis Ariz? Swing the bat. 10 out of 10 people would say Aaron Judge. Why? Home run power. Luis Ariz, punch and Judy, singles hitter, slap hitter, hell of a hitter though. We'll get to the list of Tigers that might be in the top 10 based on their position when we come back on X's and Bros.
He would cheer for my good friend Josh Garvey. Now, he runs Dorn Mayhew's Grand Rapids office in downtown GR. They're one of the world's top accounting and CPA firms. Their worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan, on the east side of the state. If you're a business looking to work with professionals who will help you every step of the way, turn to Josh Garvey and his team at Dorn Mayhew. Also, don't forget Dorn Mayhew brings you Coach Beeline and Josh every Tuesday, talking hoops on the huge show across Michigan.
Save a good deal more at Meijer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Friday, April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys. The Brotherhood Tour. Tickets start at $47 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com. April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. East LA meets Texican. The Brotherhood Tour. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
What's up, Michigan? You're listening to my good friend Shep. The huge show is coming up later today at 3, right here on the Michigan Sports Network.
play this coming back. I just watched over the weekend a Behind the Music, the breakup of the band. You ever see that series?
Oh, yeah.
The breakup of the band about Van Halen and how Sammy Hagar came in. Sammy Hagar had a huge solo career, as we all know. I Can't Drive 55, probably overrated. A lot of the other songs that he has is much better than that. But anyway,
Yeah, do a little more digging.
Well, VOA really good. But anyway, he had a great solo career, and he's like, what do I need to join a band for? He joins that band, and I mean, find me another band where they move from one front man to another that's as big as Van Halen. Maybe AC/DC. Like you've seen guys change bass players. Metallica did it twice. You've seen bands change guitarists. All right, Kiss has done it. But how many have changed front men like Van Halen to have that type of success? AC/DC would be the other. Bon Scott died.
Yeah, very
So
different
they had
circumstance.
to. Yeah, different circumstance. David Lee Roth produced
drove him
his
nuts.
own solo album. That didn't sit well with Eddie Van Halen and Alex Van Halen, so they moved on and they got Sammy Hagar. What a great pickup, right? I mean, you're talking about a free agent. You go out and you get a quarterback. He's the quarterback. That's what the singer is, usually the quarterback. And, he's an all-pro.
Yeah, depending on who you talk to, it was an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on who you talk to. Black Sabbath did that. Ozzy Osbourne moved on, and Black Sabbath went on and got Ronnie James Dio, who I really like. But that was a tough thing for him, the transition for him, because I think did he go to Rainbow afterwards? Love Rainbow. I forget which band he went to. He might have gone to Rainbow after Black Sabbath. Yeah. Anyway, people, couldn't stand him. The Black Sabbath nation just could not stand him. It was he went through hell in concerts and so on and so forth. Who all people wanted was Ozzy with Black Sabbath. But Van Halen, for the most part, that's a home run for them. It didn't last as long as it should have because they had terrible management. It was ridiculous why they wanted to go back to David Lee Roth or do a tour with both of them. Like, if you're Sammy Hagar, why would you do that? It's just stupidity. And then, as much as I like Eddie Van Halen, how he handled the Michael Anthony stuff, the bass player, is just stupid. Anyway, it was an interesting documentary. Welcome back, X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. I was watching Major League Baseball, MLB.com the other day. Not MLB.com, MLB Network. And I read MLB.com. But you watch the network, and what they do really well in the offseason is they talk about certain players at certain positions, and they primarily will go, they rank the top 10. It's debatable. There's no doubt. You can make a good argument for certain guys in certain positions who may not have made their list. So this doesn't mean it's who I believe are the top 10. I'm giving you an example of what a network dedicated to that sport is giving you. I think, look, if this came from ESPN or CBSSports.com, something like that, CBS Sports Network, I would take it with a little bit more grain of salt and push back on it. But if you're getting experts from NFL Network, NHL Network, NBA Network, MLB Network, they're living that every day. So I think it comes with a little bit more sincerity and understanding of what you would consider the best of the best. And we're going to use that phrase a lot now in sports. Ever since, the Four Nations tournament, the players wanted the best versus the best, and that's what we're going to give them. Well, that's what a lot of people are going to say. Do you think the Tigers have any players as a top 10 player in any of their positions? Immediately, who comes to mind?
Tarek Skubal.
Right.
Yep.
So Tarek Skubal would be the first and foremost person that you would discuss. MLB Network said Zach Wheeler first. Tarek Skubal ranked the second best starting pitcher. Again, very debatable, but he's in that conversation. What other positions do you think are at least either in the conversation or in the top 10? I can tell you this.
Riley Green.
There's one position, now two with a recent addition, that has been labeled a top 10 player at his position. In left field, MLB Network has Riley Green as the fifth best left fielder.
I think that's fair.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a little high, but I like that he's in the top 10 at least.
So let me, I'm glad you said that. if you're in Cleveland and you've got a 2-time Gold Glove left fielder who's got a better on-base percentage, a better strikeout to walk ratio, is a better base runner, would you be happy if your guy was ranked behind him?
No. Where do they have Stephen Kwan?
They have Stephen Kwan 8. Here's what they have. They have Yordan Alvarez, who was number 1 last year too. Jarren Duran, Boston. Ian Happ, Christian Yelich, then Riley Green. Then they have Brandon Nimmo, Jackson Chourio, Stephen Kwan, Taylor Ward, and Brian Reynolds. Not exactly a who's who of left fielders, but they have Riley Green at number 5. I think Riley Green should be in there.
Yeah, me too.
It's debatable.
I think maybe 5 is a little high. But
well, I would say Ian Happ at number 3 is probably a little high too. I think Stephen Kwan at number 8 is a little low, personally. How about first base? You shake your head vigorously,
No.
and rightfully so. You're not breaking through when you've got Freddie Freeman, Bryce Harper at number 2 in his first year playing first base. Tells you something about his athleticism. I think he's an underrated player. I think he's a phenomenal baseball player. I'd take him any day of the week. Matt Olson at number 3. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. at number 4. He's going to report to camp. Toronto is desperately trying to sign him to a long-term deal. Guerrero says, once I get to camp, it's off limits. We're not talking about it. I think if they come to the number that he and his agent want, they'll probably discuss it. But that's what he says. That's strong stance. Yandy Diaz at number 5. He's an underrated player with Tampa. Wilson Contreras, who's also in a catcher, by the way. So he's in 2 positions. Christian Walker, really good player. Pete Alonso, Nathaniel Lowe, and Paul Goldschmidt. Nathaniel Lowe is now with Washington, formerly with Texas. How about right fielders?
I would guess Kerry Carpenter snuck in there. He's probably towards the bottom of the top 10, but I can't think of 10 guys better than Kerry Carpenter.
What would make you think Kerry Carpenter would sneak in there when he's penciled in as a DH and is not considered a very good fielding right fielder? Why would you think he would sneak in there?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you just said with Contreras, he was used for 2 positions, right? And does this list have DHs?
It does.
They do have a top 10 DHs?
Yeah, they do have top 10 DHs. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, that's probably my rose-tinted glasses for the Tigers, but I just think with his power and maybe a little bit of recency bias with the playoff magic he's coming off, I'd have him in the top 10. Low top 10, like 9 or 10, but I'd have him in there.
So you're a big believer that the offense outweighs the defense. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, because like you said, he's a below average defense. I think he's gotten better in the field, but yeah, still not great.
Yeah, he has gotten better in right field. There's no doubt about that. Do you know how many games he played in right field last year?
No, how many?
He played 45 games.
Yeah, it's less than half.
Oh, yeah,
it's way less than
way
half.
less than half. Yeah, it's a quarter.
The COVID season's worth.
I wouldn't have guessed that at all. I mean, not even close. He wouldn't even be under consideration whatsoever.
But even with his hitting, with his power,
he played 87 games, dude. He played 45 in right field, so more than half of his. But he only played 87 games. Why would you think he would be even in the top 10?
Well, it's the off season. We're going into the season. I don't know. I mean, if he misses a bunch of games next year, then I would guess this time next year they won't have him in the top 10 again.
So if he
starts showing a history
games
and a
last
trend
year, you can have him in the top 10. But if he does it again, you can't have him in the top 10.
Well, at the end of the year, he was rock solid. At the end of the year, he was absolutely a top 10 right fielder. So I think that's how they're looking at this.
Okay, he would at the end of the year, he was absolutely not a top 10 right fielder because
not defensively, but I'm saying
he was DHing. He was DHing at the end of the
okay, but you can put him at right, and I guess that's what this article's looking at. I don't know. I'm going to guess he was not ranked last year, correct?
He was not ranked the year before. No,
and that makes sense to me.
Because
he just had a career year in a lot of ways. Didn't play a ton of games, but statistically he had a great year last year. I shouldn't say great, but a very strong year
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
And when I think of the position too, Shep, obviously it's Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Tatis, Acuna. After that, Kyle Tucker. After that, I don't know. I can't start rattling off a bunch of names that I'd rather have than Kerry Carpenter. I guess that's all I'm saying. Maybe you and I disagree there.
So Kerry Carpenter played 80 games the year before in right field, almost twice as many. And you know how I feel about him. I like him a lot. I think it's ridiculous, even though he's a Tiger. I think it's simply ridiculous that a guy plays 45 games in right field and you consider him a top 10 player at the position when he's never been an all-star, silver slugger, anything like that, even nominated for a gold glove. Like if you want to consider, all you want to do is talk about the offense, I get it. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I think when we bring up positions in baseball, we rarely take defense into consideration except for catcher. We look at what have they done offensively. Wow, it's a lot of fun to watch that guy hit. You know what I mean? I think that's where we look when it comes to baseball first and foremost. Even gold gloves, we oftentimes look at it that way.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. No doubt about that.
So, the year before he hits 278, but he played more games. He had 20 bombs. So 2023, he had more homers. He had more RBIs. You said last year he had a career year. Didn't have a career year. He had 20 homers in 2023. He had 64 RBIs. He hit 278. So he hit better last year in 45 games or in 87 games than he did the year before in 118 games. But home run and RBI production, he had a career year in 2023. Again, last year cut short of injuries. Therein lies my issue. My issue is he didn't play enough for you to rank him in the top.
Yeah, and that Shep is much more understandable. I get that. I said career year because I'm looking at OPS and average. Like he was.
Yeah.
You can't go by the number of hits and homers and RBIs because, like you said, he missed a ton of games.
Here's who they have. They have Aaron Judge, Kyle Tucker, Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Seiya Suzuki, Corbin Carroll, good player. Ronald Acuna, another guy who missed a ton of time, right?
He did, yeah.
Then Carpenter, then Matt Wallner, then Teoscar Hernandez, primarily DH. How about shortstops? You think any Tiger isn't? No, it's not. It's not. Second base. Any Tiger? You think Colt Keith would be in there?
No, but Gleyber Torres now? I wouldn't put him in there, but is he in there?
He is. He's at number 10.
Okay. He snuck in.
Yeah, he snuck in. Third base.
No
Tiger. Which is funny, isn't it? But think about it for a second. You just said career year. Who had a career year last year?
Matt Vierling? Is that what you're going to say?
Matt Vierling had a career year. Who had a better WAR, Matt Vierling or Kerry Carpenter?
Because of the defense, maybe Vierling?
Vierling did.
Was it close?
Who played more games at their – and I'm not saying Matt Vierling belongs in it, okay? So please don't take it out of context.
I got you.
Who played more games at their position, Kerry Carpenter in right or Matt Vierling at third base, which really isn't his position?
Matt Vierling at third.
Yeah. Matt Vierling played 51 games at third.
6 more.
Kerry Carpenter played 45 games in right field. Now, better competition is there better competition at third base than there is in right field? Apparently there is. And just so we're clear, if you were looking at overall, Matt Vierling played 144 games last year, folks. 144. And before you tell me, yeah, but he's more of a right fielder, I would argue Kerry Carpenter's more of a DH. We're using it, we're happy about it, and we think it's justified because he's a Tiger. And he's one of the guys who we love because of who he is and drafted and came up through the system and all that stuff.
Yeah, so Shep, you have more of a bone to pick with where they're classifying these players, right?
Yeah.
Where they're listing them at the certain positions when, like
I'm
you
not
said,
saying Matt Vierling is better than, I don't know, Nolan Arenado, who's number 7. But let me tell you who number 8, 9, and 10 are. Max Muncy, not a good third baseman. Isaac Paredes, not a great third baseman. Eugenio Suarez, who was a former shortstop. I'd take Matt Vierling over those three guys defensively playing third base.
Yeah, that's fair. I would too.
All right, starting pitching. I already told you Skubal is 2 behind Zach Wheeler. No other Tiger in there. Top 10 catchers. Jake Rogers was a Gold Glove finalist a year ago. What do you think of that?
Well, and this is like where you just said a couple minutes ago. We look at offense everywhere except catcher. We look at defense first. And if Jake Rogers was a Gold Glove finalist, that means he's top 3, correct? I would have to imagine he's in the top 10 catchers in the league.
He is not.
They don't have him there.
Okay, they do not.
Dang, that's tough.
So MLB Network has William Contreras. He's number 1 for Milwaukee. Adley Rutschman, love him. Will Smith, love him even more. Cal Raleigh, JT Realmuto, unbelievable pop time.
Yeah.
Yanier Diaz, really good defensive player. Gabriel Moreno from Arizona, went over in a trade a couple of years ago. Really good defensive player. Alejandro Kirk, who at least was an all-star. I'd rather have Rogers defensively. Sean Murphy, really like him. And Austin Wells for New York. And then I read this article. Buster Olney, ESPN, well-respected baseball voice and writer, his top 10. And I thought, okay, maybe Jake Rogers, maybe it's more than just, MLB Network. Maybe he's in somebody else's top 10. No. In fact, Buster Olney, again, not the gospel, but a well-respected voice, top 10, he lists, then he gives honorable mentions. His honorable mentions, Alejandro Kirk is in there because Patrick Bailey of San Francisco is in his top 10, are Ivan Herrera, Shea Langoliers, Alejandro Kirk, and Francisco Alvarez of the Mets, which I can buy as an honorable mention. Jake Rogers nowhere to be found.
Not even mentioned, huh?
Not even mentioned.
And I guess this just comes down to what you value at the position. I think you and I, it's sad, maybe we value defense a lot more than whoever put this article together.
Yeah, not that those
and
other
commanding
guys are
the
bad.
staff.
Not that those other guys are bad. I'm not trying to take anything away from those guys, but I do believe, even now, and based on this, the catching wise, for example, it's hard to put a guy in the top 10 when you're batting under 200.
And
right?
probably therein lies the difference between him and the top 10 guys that they listed. But I at least think he should get an honorable mention. That's what I contend.
Yeah, in 2023, he hit. Okay, so let me give you this real quick. I'm glad you brought that up. Forget about how many games he played, 102, which is, He had 10 homers, 36 runs driven in. That had 197. With an OBP of 255 and a slug of 350. You think that's a top 10, maybe even a top 15 catcher?
Not offensively. Heck no.
I mean, it's a bottom 5 catcher offensively. Defensively, I mean, we bring up WAR, right? Wins above replacement, really important. Fair enough? Okay. What's his WAR? What should his WAR be? Do you know what it is? How important is that to you? When you're a one WAR player, you're very replaceable. So therein lies part of the issue. The other thing that surprised me is there's no relievers that they consider in the top 10. You have 2 guys, well, 3 guys with the starting pitcher. Green and a guy who's just new and one of the worst fielding second basemen in baseball. That's concerning. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio to 21,000. This hour brought to you by our friends at Meyer.
It's time to go on the court with Tim Stout.
It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com. As the season winds down in men's Big Ten basketball, the stakes are so high for so many teams, especially Michigan State, Michigan, and Purdue. And what a week for the Spartans, who now have seen what it's like playing the back end of the schedule, which Spartan coach Tom Izzo warned is going to be tougher after Michigan State began 9-0 in league play. Tuesday night, Purdue in the Breslin Center. You know it'll be rocking. And win or lose, put it in the rearview mirror. Michigan Friday night in Ann Arbor. The Spartans, of course, still hoping to win the Big Ten championship. But even if not, key wins down the stretch will be noteworthy when the NCAA tournament seedings come around, and the Spartans are looking, of course, for big things.
Huge here with an invitation for all of you to join Van Andel Institute and Fox Motors Hockey for Hockey Fights Cancer at Southside Ice Arena in Byron Center. It will take place February 21st through February 23rd. You can join the fun and help raise awareness and funds for Van Andel Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's. Since 2016, Southside Hockey Fights Cancer has raised nearly $500,000 for groundbreaking research at VAI. You can help them reach the $500,000 mark and make a positive impact on the future of human health. Learn more at foxmotorshockey.com. That is foxmotorshockey.com.
Get some facts and come back and see me. Get some facts and come back and see me. Don't throw out salaries or other things. Get some facts and come back and see me. You can't handle the truth.
I told our players, you need to be more like a dog. We don't need a bunch of cats in here. Yeah, looking in the mirror. Do I look good? I got my extra bands on. I got my other shoes on. Be a dog. We don't need no meows. We don't need no cats. We need more dogs.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
We weren't good. There's no sense asking me things about the game. I'm telling you, we laid an egg, so I'm not going to break it down for you. He sucked. He sucked. But he laid an egg. That's all I have to say, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not going to break it down for you. Nothing went well for us. It's on us. We have to figure it out, and we will.
It's showtime. We were talking about emotion on this show quite a bit. We will get to some emotion that was pretty purposeful and was used in the right place and used to a team's advantage. We'll get to that coming up here on X's and Bros at 8:18. More than one team, quite honestly. We were just done talking about, and welcome to X's and Bros, the final hour of the program brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. We were just talking about Major League Baseball Network's top 10 players at each position. I was wondering if Tigers fans ever looked at the third base situation, because obviously the Tigers don't have one. But one of the things that I was interested in is where they would have a guy like Alex Bregman, since he was considering the Tigers, right? And Bregman was at number 3. Jose Ramirez, good for them, number 1. Rafael Devers, who since 2021, I believe, has one of the worst defensive runs saved in all of third baseman in all of baseball. But he's at number 2. Again, proof on why they use offense over defense. Not that he shouldn't be in the top 10, but to have him at number 2 is borderline sinister. It's ridiculous, okay? But the dude can hit. They're talking about making him a DH in Boston. He's like, it's my position. I want it. This is my... Okay, look at Alex Bregman's numbers defensively. If you don't want to believe me, just go to Baseball Refs. Look at his defensive numbers compared to Rafael Devers over that period of time. And it's not like Alex Bregman is a bad offensive player. He's a really good offensive player. But I found that very interesting. You know, I mean, if you're bottom of the 9th and you're on defense and you want the ball hit somewhere, and you're in Boston, you don't want to hit it to third base. Now, would you want him up to the plate in the bottom of the 9th in a clutch situation? Sure, absolutely. I'm talking about it from an overall perspective. Would you want Jose Ramirez? Yes. Would you want Alex Bregman up? Yes. Would you want Manny Machado up? Yes. Would you want Austin Riley up? Probably. Would you want Matt Chapman up? That's where it probably stops. Probably wouldn't want the rest of those guys. But defensively, all but Muncy, Paredes, and Suarez, you'd probably rather have at third base defensively. I'd probably keep Isaac Paredes over a guy like Rafael Devers. His defensive numbers are terrible. Anyway, Bregman was number 3. So I thought, that's kind of interesting. How much that would have helped the Tigers for sure. Bregman has come out and said, look, he said this on Sunday at his press conference in Boston or down in Florida, but as a member of the Red Sox, I'm a winning player. This is a winning organization. Why did he go to Boston, right? Why did he sign the 3-year, $120 million deal when the Tigers offered him a 6-year contract worth $171 million? I'm a winning player. This is a winning organization. Those players are winning players. We have winning coaches here. I plan on winning here. After talking with some of the guys over the last 2 days, I can see that there is something special here. Immediately, what do you think immediately when you hear that? I think, did he talk with any of the Tigers? Absolutely, he talked to A.J. Hinch, right? So did he talk to any of the Tigers players like he talked to the Boston players? And did he get a different sense in Detroit than he got in Boston? Those are the things that I thought. He said, so he plans on being a winning player there. Then today or yesterday, we get this little ditty in the Detroit Free Press, and that is the first line. Don't let anyone tell you the Alex Bregman saga with the Detroit Tigers is finished. Maybe it's just getting started. Where do you think that comes from? Who spoon-fed that?
The front office.
I mean, I want you to think about this for a second. They just offered 6 years, $171 million. And he said,
it was the longest deal and the most money on the table, reportedly.
Right. And gave him an option, by the way.
Correct.
The same thing that Boston did. But that's the first line of the article. You're going to tell me, who has just spent months, I'm just talking about fans, not just somebody.
Yeah.
Spent months saying, hold on a second. He's going to be, the Tigers are in the mix. He wants 7 years, $200 million. I wouldn't do that, but I'd come close to it. All these other factors, right? Supposedly winning organization, wants to win right now. He's going to be 31, so he wants to keep winning. Tigers made that strong push to the postseason a year ago. I was going to say favorites to win the division this year. Probably not, but it's a winnable division. Is that fair? Okay.
Yes.
And the first line is, don't let anyone tell you that the saga is over, is finished. It may be just getting started. Then here's what you get. Agent Scott Boras released a statement to the Free Press saying Bregman was open to joining the Tigers, even made them contract proposals before signing with the Red Sox. So he was open? No kidding. He was open. What are you telling me here? Here's what he wrote. Alex has great respect for the Detroit organization and its great players. Word great overused. And its heralded manager. He received a close-up view of the Tigers and their promising future during the playoffs, which is why he directed me to place Detroit on his priority list for free agent meetings. Does it, honestly, raise your hand if you buy that crap. If you do, you're a sap. He put him on the list? It's money, dude. Money, 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 money. That's the reason Detroit was on the list. Anyway, following very positive meetings, Alex directed me to convey offers to Detroit, which illustrates his high regard for the city and the franchise. Okay. What else is an agent going to say, just out of curiosity? You know what? Let me write you this. Alex didn't want to play in Detroit because he doesn't like the city, doesn't think they're ready to win, had a contentious relationship with some of the players. He just had no desire whatsoever. He wants to leave as many doors open as possible. The question would be, why would you turn down 6 years, $171.5 million? $40 million this year, but you're going to make more money long term. So strike one. You know what it is? Winning. The chance to win. He feels Boston has a better chance to win. He's going to make $40 million in 1 year doing it. The reason the Tigers were even on the list is because they were willing to offer a lot of money. But he didn't feel like they were ready to win, period. Scott Harris said this. We want players who want to be here. We made a very compelling offer to Alex Bregman, but he chose to sign somewhere else, and that's fine. That's good. That's exactly what he should say. But remember this. Remember, he also said something else about this whole thing. And that was, we won, in so many words, we won before we had Alex Bregman, and we'll win without him. I mean, if Scott Boras and Alex Bregman are reading that, then there's no doubt that will be brought up to him if he doesn't know it already. How does that sit? We want players who want to be here. He apparently didn't want to be here. Can I read into that? I think so. I've said this time and time again. I'm glad the Tigers didn't sign him. Good for them to make the offer, I suppose. I think it's too much. I wouldn't have done it. So I'm glad he didn't. I would have preferred him on the 3-year Boston plan for sure. But I wonder if Detroit was willing to do that and why he wouldn't have gone to Detroit if that were the case. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text the show, Sports Radio, to 21,000. We've got some really good sound on how things might be changing in coaching or maybe not. you decide. And how emotion can play a part and has played a part, at least in one big game. We'll get to that, plus our poll question results from yesterday and the daily wager after this.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, playeagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to playeagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Save a good deal more at Meijer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Rock legend Peter Frampton comes alive. Peter Frampton, the Let's Do It Again tour returns Saturday, April 19th to Soaring Eagle Casino. Tickets start at $73 and are on sale now at the box office or etix.com. Peter Frampton, April 19th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
All right, back with you on X's and Bros. Thanks for taking some time on this Tuesday morning. I'm Matt Shepard. We're with you Monday through Friday, 6 until 9. The Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. You can text the program Sports Radio to 21,000. We always get to our poll question in the 8 o'clock hour from the day before. And yesterday we asked you, is the USA win over Canada Saturday night the best hockey game you've ever seen? Somebody tweeted at me and said, the 1980 Olympics, Team USA beating Russia. Look it up. Yeah. Thanks. Like I need that history lesson. I sat behind this microphone and chair for 2 decades, and I didn't know about that. I was
well aware.
Did you know that there was a miracle on ice? I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew that Michael Ruzioni and Ken Morrow and Jim Craig and those guys, Dave Silk, all those guys, they won a gold medal. Now, it wasn't against Russia. They had to beat Russia to get to the gold medal game, and they actually beat Finland in that game. But did you know in 1980 in Lake Placid, New York, that they did that? Now, I've broadcast from that same arena for CBS Sports Network. I've interviewed players who were on that team. Can you believe? But I didn't know about that. I've watched the movie. I didn't know it was real. You and I have quoted the movie. We've played clips of the movie. Did you know that was real? Thanks for that education. That was
thought it was a Hollywood
greatest,
script.
I've said this. I think it's arguably the greatest moment in American sports history. That doesn't mean that it's the best hockey game you've ever seen, number one. Number two, not many people saw it live.
Tape delay.
It was tape delayed. And unless you were a member of the, 4,000, 3,500 people that fit in that arena, you probably didn't see it, okay? So you saw it tape delay. What you watched Saturday night, you watched live. Now, I didn't put that in necessarily in the exact question, but I thought it was kind of inferred. But anyway, is it the best hockey game you've ever seen? Yes or no? How did people vote?
58% said no, 42% yes.
Oh, okay.
So at least some agreed that it's the best they've ever seen.
A really good balance. Yeah, that's fine. I'm sure there were more meaningful games to them, like 1980, like a Red Wings Stanley Cup championship game, like a Game 7, right? Okay. There's, again, no right or wrong answer. Just wondering what your thoughts were. I'm glad you were able to participate. Thank you for texting, or I should say voting on X at XB Mornings. Our poll question for you today, did you enjoy the NBA All-Star Game format? So you can vote as often as you like, do it as frequently as you choose, and we'll give you the results in the 8 o'clock hour tomorrow. Let's get to the daily wager. We have this for you. It's brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort and their sportsbook Ascend that is fantastic. It's got really good food, good people to hang out with, watch a game or 2 or 3. They've got tons of big screen TVs there for you to take advantage of and enjoy. And it's an ideal place for you to, like Friday night. Look, Thursday, you get a chance to go to the Michigan State game Friday night at Chrysler Center, courtesy of Michigan Sports Network. And what we're going to do is you text in Dusty to 21,000. We're going to take you to, or have you meet Bill Simonson, the Huge Show, watch his show from 3 to 6 Friday afternoon. And then that night, and during that show, he will draw the winner who gets 2 tickets to Michigan State. That night, you'll have dinner with him and John Beeline. You'll spend the night at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. The next day, you'll enjoy the festivities there, and then we will drive you to Ann Arbor. You'll watch Michigan and Michigan State clash, number 11 against number 14 in the country. Pretty awesome. And then we'll drive you back to Soaring Eagle. You'll spend the night Friday night, and it's a hell of a weekend for you. Hell of a start to the weekend. And you still got Saturday if you want. You can hang out there too if you'd like, but we're paying for the 2 nights. All you got to do is text Dusty to 21,000. So really awesome offer, and we're going to do that again at the end of the year when Michigan goes to MSU and plays in East Lansing. All right. So what was the daily wager from yesterday? I believe it had something to do with Team USA in Sweden, which would tell me that you didn't come up as successful as you'd like. And what do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, we had USA -1.5 last night. That was not good. I should have known. Undermanned. It was a quote-unquote meaningless game for the U.S., But admittedly, the Pistons are off, Wings are off. We were scraping the bottom of the barrel last night. But tonight, we've got Michigan State, Purdue.
I don't know. I thought it was a good bet. I thought the emotional part of things was tough to match from Saturday. You didn't know. I don't think at the time we knew all the injuries. Sure didn't think Brady Tkachuk would get hurt during the game, right? That's what happened.
Yeah.
You knew that Matthew Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy were going to be out, but I didn't. Austin Matthews, you didn't know at the time, so I'm not going to blame you for that. I bristle a little bit at the meaningless thing. Dylan Larkin was the third line center. Do you think guys were trying to play so they made sure so they were telling the coaching staff, make sure you got me in Thursday night for the championship game? Absolutely. Not that Jake Ottinger would be able to change the mind of Mike Sullivan. He's going with Connor Hellebuck for sure. But it mattered to him.
Yeah, I guess I should have taken into account that the game probably mattered more to Sweden, right? I mean, you mentioned it earlier. They didn't want to go this whole four nations face-off without a win.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say. But I thought it was a big deal. I mean, Dylan Larkin was moved up a line. He was really good on the penalty kill last night. And deservedly so, because he had a goal and an assist in the win over Canada. But he wants more ice time. He's playing for more ice time, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was plenty to play for in that game. But yeah, when you're down two forwards and you're down, I would argue your second best defenseman. Well, Noah Hannafin's pretty damn good. Zach Werenski, Charlie McAvoy's in the conversation for your best defenseman. You don't start your number one goalie. It's going to be a challenge. I didn't think you had a bad bet there, but you ended up losing it. What do you have tonight?
Tonight, Michigan State and Purdue over 148.5. I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to live up to the expectations I think we see. High scoring. I think Michigan State breaks the ice from 3 a little bit. The line is 3.5. Michigan State's favored. That scares me to death because I could see Michigan State winning by 3 and Purdue covers that spread or something like that. It's going to be a close game. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be high scoring. Over 148 tonight.
Why does it scare you?
It just scares me because of what's at stake. I still, obviously, as an alum and a proud Spartan, I'm rooting for the Spartans to win that conference, and they're not going to be able to do that if they don't probably beat Purdue and Michigan this Saturday. So, I mean, the rubber hits the road now. We're in mid-late February, getting closer and closer to March.
Do you have any more cliches for us?
No. I don't. Rick Pitino might.
Rick Pitino might, yeah. I thought, I don't know how many cliches he used in there, but I thought it was special. First of all, so just so to piggyback off what Trent was saying, it's at Breslin Center. That's a big reason why they're favored. What Purdue just did against Wisconsin might be another reason why MSU is favored. Purdue's ranked 13th. Michigan State is ranked 14th. Who cares, right? It's not a huge deal. But Purdue has lost back-to-back games. Won a really close game in Ann Arbor against Michigan and one at home where they were steamrolled by 10, 94-84, and really it wasn't that close. If you watch that game over the weekend, it was not that close. Wisconsin just absolutely opened up a proverbial can. So you said it requires, if you're going to win the Big Ten, you're going to have to beat these two teams. Okay. Perhaps that is the case. But you do get Michigan at the end of the year at home. And you do have winnable games in between. You still have 5 games after this. Do you have to beat them both? I don't think you do. But I would argue you got to beat one of them. If you want the regular season title, you got to beat one of them.
No doubt.
So you get Purdue, you get at Michigan, you're at Maryland. Maryland's ranked 20th in the country. They're a pretty good team. You're home to Wisconsin. You're at Iowa, and you're home to Michigan. That's your MSU basketball season the rest of the way.
Yeah, I hate to say this so late in the season, but we're going to find out what that team's made of this week and next week. 2
Michigan games. You've got Purdue and Wisconsin. Those are going to be tough battles. I would argue the game at Maryland is a tough one too. That place can get pretty loud. And being ranked in the top 25 and knowing how big that game is, it will get pretty loud. So I don't think they have to win both of them, but I think it's pretty important that they win one of them. All right, when we come back, speaking of college basketball, there's a guy who came out and gave a phenomenal speech that makes you think, oh, maybe tough coaching is still okay. It was refreshing for me. We'll play it for you when we come back after this.
Save a good deal more at Meijer with bulk Gala, Fuji, or Pink Lady apples, just 99 cents a pound. Plus, during the 7 for $7 sale, you pay $1 each when you mix or match any 7 or more on participating items, like Meijer frozen vegetables, Bush's beans, Red Gold canned tomatoes, Meijer facial tissue, and Powerade sports drink. Getting more for your money with the Meijer 7 for 7 sale. Now that's the good life. Exclusions apply. See all deals in-store or in the Meijer app.
Huge here with an invitation for all of you to join Van Andel Institute and Fox Motors Hockey for Hockey Fights Cancer at Southside Ice Arena in Byron Center. It will take place February 21st through February 23rd. You can join the fun and help raise awareness and funds for Van Andel Institute's research into diseases like cancer and Parkinson's. Since 2016, Southside Hockey Fights Cancer has raised nearly $500,000 for groundbreaking research at VAI. You can help them reach the $500,000 mark and make a positive impact on the future of human health. Learn more at foxmotorshockey.com. That is foxmotorshockey.com.
I know it's a different generation, and I'm not going to sound like the past generation is better. I'm not going to say it's the greatest generation, but it's different, and we have to adjust. Now, people grow up in different households, and people grow up in different ways, and I respect that. Not what's right for every child growing up in the 60s was right for every child growing up in the 80s, and not every child growing up in the 80s was right for the 2000s, and so on and so forth, and today. But I do believe there is a sense, most people would agree, that more kids today are a little bit more vulnerable, and more kids today are a little bit more sensitive. I mean, that's the gist. That's a painted with a broad brush, and it's not always fair, but it sure seems like that. We see certain coaches getting ridiculed by members of the media for losing their temper at times. I mean, like, it's okay for you to sit at home and throw a chip bowl at the TV because your team threw an interception. It's okay for you to break a television set because your team lost a game 7. But if a coach who's actually invested in it, gets paid for it, is coaching and watching film and trying to prevent all that stuff, gets angry, you think it's unjustified, which always finds me, left wondering, what the hell are you thinking? There are certain coaches that are almost that poster boy for it. Brian Kelly immediately comes to mind for people in college football. It was okay for Nick Saban to do that, but it's not okay for Brian Kelly. Why? Because Nick Saban won 7 national championships and Brian Kelly has not. Tom Izzo is often used as an example. I've got no problem with it whatsoever. I ask you, would you send your son or daughter to play for a coach? Would you send your son to play college basketball at Michigan State University in a second?
Absolutely.
Right? And one of the reasons is not because he's got 354 Big Ten wins. It's not because he's got a national championship. It's not because that school has a 2 championships. It's not because that school retired the jerseys of Magic Johnson and Greg Kelser and Sean Respert and the like. It's because of the man who patrols the bench and because of what my child is going to learn. Look, I went through this with a couple of my kids, a few of my kids actually, who were good enough to play at the collegiate level. And I find that refreshing. My kids, as I said to all the coaches who were recruiting them, I said, look, how do I know you're going to be one of the biggest influences in his or her life? How do I know you're going to do the right thing in not helping them get to a higher level or become an all-conference player or become a player of the week? I want to know what you're going to do for them to make them a better man and or woman, because of my daughter's case. So that's what I wanted to, that was one of my questions. How long are you going to be there? What's your relationship with the athletic director? Because that matters. And tell me what you're going to do to help my son or my daughter become a better person and ready for life more than anything else. Not every kid is the same. Trent's father probably talked to him a certain way. His brother maybe a different way. The rules were probably the same, but how you went about conveying those rules might be completely different. There are certain people who they're just built differently, and that's okay. Not that one way is right or the other way is wrong. As when I was younger, if I got chewed out, I could take it. I remember in football one time, I thought I did a great thing with a quarterback rollout on a 4th and 1, scoring on a touchdown, raising the football about the 2 or 3 yard line, staying in, holding for the extra point, going to the sideline, thinking I was going to get an attaboy. I got a slap in the ear hole from my Hall of Fame coach. And he said, don't ever do that again. Okay. He didn't want me showing people up. If you did that today, the kid would file a police report. Police would probably look into it. Parents would probably side with their child. My youngest son was playing hockey one time, and we all watch our kids. I'm watching him on the bench, and his coach is just chewing his ass out. I mean, the coach is red in the face. My son's just nodding. Goes back out there, wins a draw, ends up scoring. Game ends. I'm driving home with him. And I said, hey, just out of curiosity, what did the coach say to you? And he said, you really want to know? I said, yeah. And he went into this tirade of what the coach was screaming in his ear. A few F-bombs for sure. Wasn't demeaning him, but he was yelling at him. I said, what did you say back? And my son said, I will, coach. That's it. It was tough enough to take it. Not that everybody should be or would, not that you'd always want every coach, but there were that coach was fine, but there was a moment there that was a teaching moment that was required. I didn't go to the coach the next day and say, I don't appreciate you yelling and swearing at my son. My son was fine with it. He could handle it. And sometimes, whether you like this or not, people need a kick in the ass. I know that's, oh my God, I can't believe. Who would do that? Who would subject their kid? When do you consider a child old enough to be able to take it? Is it high school when they can learn to drive? I don't know. That's up to you as a parent, up to you as an individual, I suppose. For me, it's not a huge deal. As long as you're not assaulting or demeaning my child, I never felt like that was a big deal. Now, if you're going to sit there and all you're going to do is talk about him negatively and try to crush his confidence, then we're going to have a problem. But if there's an issue where you see he's not giving 100%, you don't think he's giving you the attention that is desired and needed, and you don't think he's doing what's best for the team and you want to chastise him, go ahead. Because I got news for you. It's kind of the way life is. It's not always fair, but sometimes it requires you to push yourself a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that, as far as I'm concerned. So would I have my son play for Ty Izzo? You're damn right I would. Would I have had my daughter play for somebody like Pat Summitt? No question. But they were coaches who they force you, they push you to be better. I love that. I have never been a big Rick Pitino fan, but Rick Pitino, to his credit, in his early 70s, is a disciplinarian. He is going to push his players. He has made, whether you believe it or not, St. John's relevant again. I don't know how often you are watching college basketball, if you're just watching Michigan State or Michigan or whatever. But taking St. John's to number 10, which is what Rick Pitino has done with this team, it's really impressive. They're 22-4. They're number 1 in the Big East. They are packing Madison Square Garden, and they just played not Villanova. They played Creighton over the weekend, and they were down big at the half, and they came back and won. A lot of it is because they started making buckets and they started buying more into the system, right? But also a big part of that is because of Rick Pitino and what he told them at halftime. This, with some of the salty language beeped out, is what he said to his team.
Dig in and be a basketball player. Dig in. Every time you miss a shot, your game deflates. We don't care about your missed shots. Play defense. You guys keep blowing opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity. You're like children with bad things happening. Instead of digging in and be tougher, you wilt. Where is your toughness? Where have you guys been raised that you're so weak mentally that you just give up when something doesn't go right for you? Don't you know what adversity is all about? That's the game of life, not the game of basketball. You don't get down when things go wrong. You dig in and get tougher. Your whole life's going to be adversity. Learn how to deal with it.
Thumbs up or thumbs down on that? Because I love it.
I give it a huge thumbs up.
Yeah, I do too.
2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up, whatever.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. So they were down by as many as 10 in that game and came back and won it. Actually won both halves, but came back and won it. But the bottom line is, even though it was just a 1-point game at the half, Rick Pitino, and they were up by 1. Rick Pitino had that type of message. Now, some people who might be of a different era, and some people who may have been raised differently, would find that very offensive. I find it refreshing. The word awesome comes to mind. The phrase good for you comes to mind. Does that work every time? No. Nope. It's not going to work every week. It's not going to work every game. If you're down at the half or you're down at some point in the game, it would have to be the half because you're in a halftime scenario there, scene where you're listening to the coach, and he's getting that type of captive audience. That's not him on the sidelines midway through the second half. That's him at the half, and his team was up 40-39, I believe, at the break. So he's basically saying, even though you're up, look at the body language. What has happened when they went on the run? When are you going to fight back? Maybe there might be a parent or two who might be a little offended by how were you raised? Were you just kind of sulk and begin to give up? That might be a little offensive to some parents. Maybe even me if I had my child playing on that team. But the overall message is dead on. It's right there. And it's something that I'm sure many of those kids will remember and will use moving forward. So that's an example of emotion working, don't you think? I've said emotion can only take you so far, and I truly believe that. But when that emotion is stirred up, there's something there. And Rick Pitino was able to deliver. Here's another example. I don't know if we have this from Lane Johnson of the Eagles, but let me play you, or let me tell you what this is. So the Eagles, obviously, you know this. They lost a couple of years ago to Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And then, of course, the rematch took place this year, and we're all familiar with what happened when they absolutely torched them 40-20, was it 22, 23, in Super Bowl 59. The Eagles had their big parade. They had this big celebration. And now the team shared a video of a number of players giving speeches the night before the game. The night before Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, they shared a bunch of video of players doing it. And Lane Johnson was one of them. Now, if you recall, because I don't remember this, I had to see this in the article. If you recall, a couple of years ago, after Kansas City had won, their offensive line that consisted of Orlando Brown, Andrew Wiley, former Eastern Michigan offensive lineman, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Joe Thuney, they had T-shirts for the parade that said a big 0 on the front, that no sacks. Another player had no sacks, put it on a blanking T-shirt. That's what they wore during the Super Bowl parade. It's pretty obvious that the Eagles either A, saw that, or B, were brought attention to that in some type of either clip or picture, whatever. They used that as motivation. Was that the difference in Super Bowl 59? I don't know. It couldn't have hurt. You could argue it sure as hell helped. Here's what Johnson said to his team the night before. He said, they're going to get blanked up tomorrow. Just remember the blanking shirts they had at that parade. I want you to keep that in mind when you're all annihilating Mahomes tomorrow. That was a simple message when he walked into the room to talk to the defense. Take it personal. Use it as motivation. Use it as emotion. How often were they thinking about that during the game? Probably not too much. Maybe before the game. But I doubt there are members of the Eagles defensive line. Brandon Graham isn't lined up on the defensive end going, you know what? I remember that T-shirt. Here I come again. Not when you got to play 74 plays or whatever it is that Kansas City ran. But there are times where it creeps into your mind, and I'll guarantee you there was more than one time that he actually chose to say something about it on the field of play during Super Bowl 59. Something to be said for that too, don't you think? Our phone number, by the way, in the Meyer Hotline, 866-838-4843. You can text the program, Sports Radio, to 21,000. I think that I love, absolutely love the Patino speech and the attempt. Again, I don't know how much it played a factor, but the attempt by Lane Johnson to try and just remind guys, maybe it's not even as much motivation or emotion as it is just a reminder. We said this a couple of years ago. Maybe he said to his guys, remember a couple of years ago, we were offended. We were pissed off. They did something to us, and then they braggadociously put it on T-shirts and put it on during their Super Bowl parade for anyone to see. That's a direct shot at you. It's not, hey, this is what we were able to accomplish. It's a direct shot at you. Take it personal, and let's make sure that we give them something to remember. It's awesome. You want leadership? It's not always rah-rah speeches. It's not always lengthy speeches at a podium. Sometimes that leadership can be seen in very simple messages where sometimes you're even more under control than many people thought you should be. You and I probably get more emotional when it comes to certain things than a guy like even Jared Goff. Very level, even-keeled. Matthew Stafford. Sure, we'll see the mic'd up words. He's like, come on, Riley, right? Or, oh, my shoulder's hurt against Cleveland. But for the most part, after it's successful, yeah, that's one thing. But during, it's very even-tempered. Joe Montana is a great example of that. There's that famous story in the Super Bowl against Cincinnati where they've got to drive the length of the field, basically, in order for them to win. And people are hyperventilating. And Harris Barton is like, oh my gosh, he's one of the offensive linemen. I think he was a tackle. And he's, you could tell Montana noticed he was feeling the moment, feeling the pressure. How did he break the ice? He goes, hey, isn't that John Candy over there in the end zone? And Harris Barton looks and he sees him. He's like, yeah, that is John Candy. For just a moment, Harris Barton realized, you know what? It's going to be okay. He took his mind off that for just a moment. That's all that was required. And then Montana, precision-like down the field to beat Cincinnati. And Sam Weish with that famous line, he did it to us again. He did it again when he hit John Taylor. It's good stuff, man. Good conversation. We appreciate you listening as always. We thank you for your time. We know it's valuable. Don't forget, many of these same station affiliates, The Huge Show, later on today from 3 until 6. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, 6 o'clock, here on X's and Bros across the great state of Michigan. Have a good Tuesday, everybody.
Saturday, April 5th, Soaring Eagle Casino becomes Daryl's house. Don't miss a legend live, Daryl Hall, with special guest Glenn Kilbrook of Squeeze. Tickets start at $62 and are on sale now at the box office and etix.com. Make your favorite Sarah smile. Daryl Hall with Glenn Kilbrook, Saturday, April 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Coming right at you, the excitement you've been waiting for. Eagle Casino and Sports, the mobile casino made in Michigan, made for Michigan. Play slots and table games with live dealers at one exciting site, PlayEagle.com. Sign up today and get a match deposit up to $1,500. That's right, up to $1,500 plus 100 free spins. Eagle Casino and Sports. Go to PlayEagle.com and start winning today. Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
It's time to go on the court with Tim Stout. It's a new day to celebrate and be free. It's a new day full of action and excitement because it's a day for winning. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. It's a new day. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com. As the season winds down in men's Big Ten basketball, the stakes are so high for so many teams, especially Michigan State, Michigan, and Purdue. And what a week for the Spartans, who now have seen what it's like playing the back end of the schedule with Spartan coach Tom Izzo